everybody, welcome to my review of Night in the Lonesome October by Richard Laymon. So this is my first review, book review, and I'll be covering this book. So in 2006-2007, I was waiting for a train in Charing Cross station, which was delayed, and outside of Charing Cross is a Waterstones. I went into the Waterstones to buy a book because I'd always wanted to get into books, but I liked horror at the time. I was very into horror, and I was browsing the horror section and I found a copy of Bite by Richard Laymon. So that was the first Laymon I ever read, and I loved it. And I bought Laymon's after that, and I practically went through all of his books. So today I'm going to review A Night in a Lonesome October. This is a very old copy. This is my copy. It's very old. And so at Wilmington University, it's been a long summer without Holly, the girl he gave his heart and soul to last year. In turn, she fell in love with him. At least that's what she said. In September, Ed returns to campus. Holly doesn't. On the 1st of October, Ed receives a letter. Dear Ed, it begins, I will always cherish the times we had. Holly has fallen in love with someone else and won't be coming back. Heartbroken and half mad with despair, Ed can't study, can't sleep, so he leaves his apartment and takes a walk. It's a scary night in a lonesome October, and Ed is not alone. There are others out there, roaming the streets, lurking under bridges, seeking prey. Then he sees the mystery girl. Okay. So that's the read up on the back. It's a good book. Full picture. So what's the book about? As the write up says, Ed's heartbroken, and he goes out into the night on these little adventures, walks, trying to clear his mind. And the story builds up from there. It's a good book. I really liked it. It is strange walking at night, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you've been out at night and you get the feeling someone's watching you when you're walking on the road, and you look up at a window and there's someone there, or someone will just suddenly walk out, or you just get the feeling someone's watching you. But walking at night, you do, you have your own reasons for being out, don't you? You're coming back from somewhere, or you've been work, and there's a reason you're out, late. But you do notice other people, don't you? And you kind of wonder what they're doing. Why are they out this time of night? And people that don't belong, in your mind, you see things and you think, what's that about? And that's kind of how this book starts off. So Ed, who's the main character, bit of an odd character to me. He's this heartbroken man, is out and about, and he's not got only one love in his life. And then, throughout the book, he meets a character called Eileen, who's a friend of his ex-girlfriend. And, he jumps straight in the sack with her, which to me seems a bit odd. But then with Laymon, that's what his male characters, seem to be about. Every girl that meets them falls in love with them, and they seem to make crazy decisions with no regards for anyone else. So Laymon's sort of heroic sort of characters are always a little bit off in their moral compass, so to speak. But yeah, it's so he ends up with this Eileen, and he goes out into the night, and during his night he meets some crazy people, like some weirdos that want to abduct him. A crazy old lady on a bike that just seems to whiz up and down. Just general people that don't belong at night, and it ends up becoming like a little hide and seek adventure when he goes out. So it's quite good. But eventually, obviously, along the lines of the stories, he sees the mystery girl named Casey, and he starts sort of like following her around because he thinks she's beautiful, when he's wondering what she's doing out at night, and he can't quite work out how she keeps disappearing when he's trying to follow her and stuff like that. And that's quite a good part of the story, if not a little bit creepy on Ed's part as to why he's following her around. But yeah, So there's other characters in the book. There's Kirkis. He's a bit odd. He's quite a pest. He has romantic designs for Ed, but he's a bit persistent. It's a good book altogether, but it triangulates into, they obviously run into one of Laymon's villains in Randy. This bloke called Randy, and that's a apt name for him, but he is again a sick villain. Richard Laymon, if you read Richard Laymon's books, his villains are proper depraved. If you like depraved villains, Laymon does absolutely brilliant with depraved villains. He really goes on the Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave level of bad people. There is a lot of brutality in his books, so you do have to have a very strong stomach when it comes to Laymon's villains' brutality. There's a lot of horrible scenes, like I say, a very Hills Have Eyes, I Spit on Your Grave like style, genre, that 70s sort of don't hold back, absolutely nothing to left to the imagination, brutality. But if you can stomach that in your books and be okay with it, then his books are far more brutal. I mean, I've read a couple of Stephen King's books, and I like his books. I think they're good, but I do prefer Laymon. I really wish that Laymon's books had been made into films. I think films would have been really good as Laymon's books. Obviously, they have to cut a lot of stuff out, but like Funland would have been a prime example for what would have been a great coming of age movie if it was a movie in book form. It would have been fantastic. But yeah, I think even The Stake, Laymon's other books, would have made some great movies. This one would have made a good sort of movie as well, I think, but it was good. There are some, like I say, really depraved moments in Laymon's books, so don't go into it thinking that it's just going to be a bulk standard horror, because it's not. Laymon does a lot of mystery as well as horror, and some of his books, there's some winners and some losers. There's some books, I read all of his books, like I say, over the years, but there's some that I read where I'm like, ooh, well, this ain't my favourite one. But yeah, you give it a go, don't you? There's also some silly ones. Some that you read and you think, what is this? But that's like any author, isn't it, really? But yeah, I really liked this book, and it accumulates to this character, Randy, that seemingly becomes like the person that's following him round, and he ends up in the book. Ed ends up befriending this Casey, and they end up becoming quite close quite quickly again. It's like she falls in love with him straight away, and he falls in love with her straight away, and then Eileen is kind of sidelined, and that it goes on to that, which is a little bit silly in some of Laymon's books, because it seems to be the same as, like I say, his male characters are very, very sort of similar in their outlooks and the way that they are. The like Bodhi from Alarms, and you got Neil, who was in the Body Rides book. He was the same, but he's, like you say, his bad guys are what he really focuses on. It's his thing. I mean, if you read, I think it's Endless Night, the character in Endless Night, Simon Quart, he is the most depraved, I believe, in all of Laymon's books. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say he's the more depraved. If anyone thinks there's someone more depraved than him, let me know. I'll be happy to discuss it, because it's great fun discussing these things. But Simon Quart, 100%. And there was some other characters too throughout his books who were just completely deranged. I did like the Rasputin character from Body Rides. I thought he was quite a good sort of oddball character. And yeah, so he ends up befriending this Casey, and then they have to work together to sort out the end of the story in Night of Lonesome October. And it all pulls together in the end pretty well. It's a great book. I really like it. As I say, I've been reading Laymon since 2007, 2006, 2007, right up to now. I mean, I literally just finished reading In the Dark again, which was a good book. I really liked In the Dark. That was a good book, a bit of mystery with a bit of a horror at the same time. The books, like I say, some are really short, some are really long, and some are longer than they need to be. But overall, I really liked his books, and I put this one in the top 5 because I just like it's one of the ones I can read again. Like, I try and read in a year, I go through all the books again, and I always start again. But this is one I could probably read a couple of times a year because it's such a weird sort of story. And as I say, going out at night and walking around at night, you do see these oddball characters out there, and what are they doing? Why are they there? And, you know, even though you've got your own reasons for being out, you never know, they may be looking at you thinking, why are you there? What are you doing? Look at this oddball character. You know, but that is what this book is about, and it's got a lot of twists and turns. So I put it in the top 5. It's got a little bit of mystery, like I say. If you like mysteries more, the first Laymon I would read probably is Among the Missing. It's one of his really good, like, little mystery novels. I actually like that. But yeah, so I really like reading the Laymon books. Let me know what your favourite Laymon is, if you've got one, or another horror author that you like. It's always just good to chat, you know, about horror books and other books if you've got interest in other books. So thank you for tuning into the review. This is obviously my first review of a book, so I'm a little bit up and down. But yeah, this is a very good book, Night in a Lonesome October by Richard Laymon. I would see if you can grab a copy. They're usually quite cheap these days off the online, you know. Don't really see them much in shops anymore, like Waterstones and stuff like that. But yeah, they're good books. I've got a nice healthy collection, and I'll be doing more reviews. Let me know if there's a particular Laymon you'd like me to review, because I'm happy to take requests if I can get it done. And I would say like, subscribe. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you again soon.